Okay, and so I think I showed a little of this last week, but I do want to show creating a normals map in Photoshop for this particular wingnut. And so let's go ahead and do that. First, I want to go into my unwrap UVW modifier. Yes, I'm going to just say, like, this is the last time you can make any changes, so like I might want to select this piece. I think it's not straight enough, so I'm going to go back into tools and relax that a little bit more. Is that straight yet? And I'm also going to rotate it because I want this to be straight up and down, and I actually want it to be near this one as well. So I'm going to use the rotate tool and just see if I can get this almost perfect. You know what? That just bothers me that it's not relaxing very much. So I'm going to do relax by centers, stop it, and then kind of go back. There we go. That is a little bit straighter. Do I know what I was doing right there? Not really. I'm just doing a whole bunch of whatever I can do to relax it. Okay, I'm going to grab this guy, rotate it here. And I'm going to scale these as best I can to get them as equal as I can. And now I'm going to select all of these and not rotate them and pack them again. There we go. Alright, that's pretty good. This bottom one, I can actually scale this smaller because it's on the bottom. And even this one, I'm going to scale this a little bit more. And these, yeah, let's now pack these. There we go. Oh, never mind. I'm going to keep those as large as there. That's fine. Okay. That should be good. Alright, I'm going to now save this. Save as Wingnut, second attempts, 02. Yeah, okay, right. So what I'm going to do now is go back and open up that UVW editor. I'm not even going to do the thing you probably hate, which is that rendered texture, because I kind of want to show that you can do this without any of that rendering texture. Then why did we do it, Hegney? Because there are so many ways to do this. I wanted to put that in your belt. So let's go ahead and in the Edit UVW window, once you finalize your position of all of these UVs, we're going to go to Tool and Render UV Template, UVW Template. We could change the way this looks, like is it going to render a black image with green edges, and let's just go ahead and render that UV template. It renders this out as a 1024 by 1024. You know what? Let's just go ahead and say 2048 by 2048. This should be power of 2, so that means 2, 4, 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024, 2048. Let's go ahead and render that. And click the little save icon at the top left. And I'm going to save that into where I have my work. Oh no, where's my work? Well, I'm going to make a new one called Wingnut. And I'm going to call this UV template. Yay. UV template. Oh, I have to choose the format. Let's go ahead and save this as a Targa. Alright. Alright, now in Photoshop, I'm just going to go to Open, and I'm going to find that. Wingnut, UV template, open it up. And this is, right, how I can actually determine what is what. So if I'm going to go to, whoops, that wasn't it. Do I have it opened? Okay, Wingnut. I think I closed this, sorry. If I go to my Wingnut images, this is the one I was looking at. You see it's kind of pocky. It has little bumps and stuff. Some of these have cool little bumps and ridges, right? So maybe I want to use that as a normal map. Maybe even put some letters on the normal map. So how would I go about just faking that? Let's do something like this, where this has RGM on the side of it and all these little pockmarks. Number one, I want to give it a certain color. So I can come into here and I'm just going to say, you know what? I'm going to put a layer of, I'm going to say edit fill, and I'm going to create a color, and I'm going to choose like a light color, light grayish blue. And let's say this is the color that it will be. This will be its diffuse layer. And I might also create a metals map that really is white. Let's call this metals. Although it's actually going to be much grayer than that. So I'm going to put an adjustment layer. I'm going to choose the hue saturation and just darken that a little bit. And clip it to only the metals layer. Okay, that way when I turn, yeah. Okay, so this is the metal. Oops. The roughness map. You see down here it's not very rough. On the edges it's not very rough. So for the roughness one, what I'm going to do, roughness, you know what, I'm going to keep, well, you'll see what I do. I am going to turn off these. I'm going to fill my roughness with probably a gray. 50% gray. And I'm going to take my UV template, I'm going to invert it. I'm going to clip it using this little square with the arrow running down, and I'm going to right-click this invert button and just say, you know what, I'm going to merge down. And what that's going to do is merge this invert adjustment layer to that layer 0, which is the UVW template. So I'm going to right-click the invert, merge down, and that is now a permanent. And I did that so I could set the, where it says normal, I can change this to multiply, and that's going to allow me to see through the whiteness. All right. And so now what I'm going to do is paint on my roughness map. And it's going to be very rough. So I'm going to paint a white. It's going to be rough around the edges. So now I can see, right? I can see where my edges are. Not those. Just, how about these? And actually, yes, I will paint these. I don't know how that's going to look. All right. Oh, that looks like a crazy face. And so that's my roughness. And the next thing I'm going to do is my normals map, okay? So I've got my diffuse map, my metals map, my normal, my roughness, and now I'm going to do my normals map, okay? For the normals map, I'm just going to show you something that, that you can apply this in many different ways. I'm going to click the new layer button. That'll create a blank layer. I'm going to call that normals. Once again, I have the UV template on. I'm going to need that. I'm going to render clouds. So render clouds can come in handy if you want to replicate like this noise bump here. You see how bumpy that is? What I'm going to want to do is make sure I have white and black for my foreground and background, because that render clouds, there's a filter under render and it's render clouds, and it relies on the foreground and background colors. So you just click it once. It's going to render a series of clouds like that. That's fine. That's going to give us our speckledness. The next thing I'm going to do is add some text. I'm going to use my initials, BCH. I want them to be white, and I'm going to make them about 200 point. And I'll place that in the center there. And I'm going to put it on either side. So I'm going to Alt drag to make a copy. And the next thing I'm going to do is, in order to create a normals map, we have to turn this into a single layer. So I am going to probably save this as right now. I'm going to go into I'm going to create a folder called maps. In my project folder, I'm going to call this maps.psd. And I'm going to rasterize each text layer by right-clicking the text layer and say rasterize type. And now it's not text anymore or a type tool, it's rasterize, it's just like an image. Rasterize type. And I can select all three of these, the two BCHs and the normals, right-click and say merge layers. It's only going to merge the ones I had selected, and so now this is a single layer. And I'm going to select it and say filter 3D generate normal map. It's going to give you this cool interface, and you can see there, oh, what happened? I need to invert the height there. Now that's better. Now that type is pushed up. Of course, it looks weird on this sphere. It's not actually going to look like that on my thingamajiggy. I'm going to look at it on a cube, and you can see what that's going to look like. All right? You can change the blur. I kind of maybe will need to set this like that. And the detail scale, the greater the detail, the greater you can see it. That should make sense. It will depend on whatever yours is. There we go. And now that BCH is actually a normal map. Let's say OK. That is embedded into that normals map. In the next video, we will bring everything into Unreal Engine and see how that looks. Great. Bye!